Hello, Facebook and YouTube. Mark Holt from the Nostalgia Dirt series in Mason City, Iowa. And we're here today, and we're very fortunate to be interviewing Mr. Ronald Noris. And he's going to talk a little bit about his service career and some of the things about being a veteran. And as you know, if you're following Nostalgia Dirt series, one of the things we do is we honor amazing people such as Ronald, and we interview them and get their story. How are you today, sir?
Doing fine, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So again, I appreciate you sitting down and taking time to have this hillbilly here from Nostalgia Dirt series ask you some questions. So first thing I want to do is, can you tell us about the branch of service that you were in, and just a little bit about your rank and stuff like that?
Yes, I was in the Navy, and I was a seaman first class in damage control.
Awesome. And what were your duties? What did you do for the in damage control stuff?
I took training in damage control for if you had a fire on the ship, or and shoring up bulkheads and that sort of thing, and damages.
Wow.
And but fortunately, I didn't have to use any of it. When I got out of boot camp, I went to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to the Naval Shipyard and took my training for damage control. And then I went to Vietnam.
What brought you to make the decision to protect our freedom? What made you make that decision?
Well, I graduated from high school in 1967, and I went to Odie Marion Georgetown Technical Center and graduated in 1968. And when I graduated, I went and joined the Navy. I had a friend that was in there, so he kind of talked me into joining, even though it was right in the middle of the war. But, and I turned 21 years in boot camp. So they called me the old man. but I was born and raised on the farm, so I was a tough customer. Yeah, and they all of them called me the old man because I was, older than everybody else. But yes, I wanted to serve my country, and
Awesome.
I I felt the duty to do it, because I love this country and I love our freedoms.
What sacrifices did you make, going into boot camp? I mean, obviously leaving your family, your parents, your friends. Do you remember? Was it a lonely time being in boot camp, or can you tell me about some memories about that?
Yeah, boot camp was in Orlando, Florida. And we were the 85th company to go through that base because it was fairly new, facility.
Sure.
And yeah, as far as leaving home, it didn't really bother me that bad because I weren't married, and I just wanted to do something different. They weren't any jobs really available in my area. So I said, I'll just give the military a try.
Super. Very awesome. Do you keep up with the people that were in your company? I mean, that doesn't that become like a brotherhood of people
Yes,
that
it
you
is.
serve with?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've got one friend of mine. He's up in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, and I've contacted him a few times, and but as far as the rest of the guys, when I left, I don't know how many made it and who didn't. I just always had those memories. I know I lost two close friends in Vietnam. Vietnam.
Do you have any stories that you can share? What was it like serving our country? Being in Vietnam and stuff like that. Can you
Yeah,
kind of tell us what it was like? Show us through your eyes what it was like.
well, when I first got there, they didn't have anywhere to put me as far as damage control, which I was trained for. So they put me in the shipping department in the Naval Air Facility in Cameron Bay, and my job was shipping high tech, radar gear and stuff to like the Philippines and back to the States and stuff to be repaired and you know
Sure.
and 24 hours a day you heard helicopters.
Oh,
And if you heard an AK-47, if you were asleep, you could hear that sound and you would wake up. They had the most distinct sound of any rifle I've ever heard.
how long were you in the service again?
I was in there approximately 18 months.
Sure.
When I joined, at the time, I joined what they called a 2 year program. It
Sure.
was supposed to be 2 years active duty and 4 year reserve.
Sure.
But being I went to Vietnam and served, when I got out, I didn't have to go through any reserves.
So my stepson, he's in his 30s. He just enlisted into the army for he's going to be a combat medic. Uh, and so it's kind of funny you talk about being the old man. He just graduated from boot camp in Omaha at
Okay.
Fort Sills, and he that's one of the things he said is people are calling him grandpa and an old man and stuff like that. But I'm so proud of him because of the fact that he got through all that, and it just amazes me. So the you know, I watched an interview earlier today, and they said, you can never be 100% prepared for what you're gonna for like a firefight or a battle or something like
Yeah.
that. But throwing the grenades and the gas chamber that you go through. Did you have to do all that as well?
Yes, I did. I took what they call SEER school at Coronado Bay, California. Where the Navy SEALs train.
Sure.
It's survival, evasion, escape, and resistance
Right.
training is what it is. And I took weapons training on Camp Pendleton military base, with the Marines.
I found out too that it isn't just the given that you get to get into the service, because in boot camp, my stepson was telling me that in like the grenade training, some of them guys would get scared and freeze,
Yep,
and they'd have to take that grenade and throw it so they didn't
right.
get blown up, and automatically they got sent back to start all over again. And so it isn't just the given to serve our country. It takes hard work.
Yes, it does. And you speaking of grenades, if you got somebody on the other end, that you got to dispose of, you won't drop it. Believe me, you will throw it. Yeah,
Definitely.
you
Awesome.
won't hesitate. And
Right.
I was awarded the combat action, ribbon too. So
Sure.
I did see combat, even though I was on a military base. It was fairly, secure.
Sure. So what was that like? Uh, my grandpa was a World War II veteran, and he actually got in a firefight with a German soldier. And when he passed away many years later, when I was a youngster, he actually had a German bullet in him. They had a firefight. Well, in order to save my grandpa, to save his own life, he had to take the life of that German soldier and
Right.
stuff. And tell us what that's like to
I mean,
be.
well, when somebody shoots at you, and that you shoot back and they don't fire again. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah.
Maybe you got them, and maybe you know.
Right.
So
Right.
I mean, that's just something you'll always live with, you know.
Yeah. So how did that affect your life when you got out of the service?
Well,
Did
yeah,
you?
it really did affect me. I do have PTSD, and because of Agent Orange, which is a dioxin they sprayed the jungles with, the foliage. I'm a diabetic, you know, and among other things. So, yeah, I walked around for close to 50 years without having any kind of treatment at all. So,
Sure.
it really affected me, you
Right.
know, before I got treatment.
I was watching a seminar today, and they were talking about so when 9/11 happened, and the United States was under attack and stuff. Uh, People were putting signs out in their yards, never forget, and doing and setting the flags out and stuff like that. And uh, eventually, eventually, I kind of see that people have forgotten, you know,
Right,
and that's what's important to Nostalgia Dirt series. We're not just about racing and stuff, but
right.
it's really important to not to keep in the front of everybody's mind about our freedoms and this amazing country, and what you sacrificed your life for. So do you find that around your area or around your world that people take our freedoms for granted, and they do forget once in a while about the
Yeah,
sacrifices?
yes, I do. And I proudly fly the American flag and the POWMIA flag in my yard, and I'm proud of it, you know. And
Yes.
yes, the people around me, though, they are kind of patriotic people,
Good.
you know. So, I mean, I have good neighbors, and that means a lot.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And if you love this country, you're going to have to fight for it. You know, freedom is not free. You have to fight for it.
Amen. And a lot of people, I feel that a lot of people don't realize that. We get caught up in the high gas prices and groceries and who's the president and Democrats and Republicans, and I really believe we forget about just what a truly amazing country we live in. Just to
Yes,
be
we
able
do.
to do this with you, you
Right.
can't do this in some countries. It's prohibited for talking about this kind of stuff.
Exactly right. Yeah. Freedom of speech it goes a long way. And if we can keep people for right now from wanting to change it and change the Constitution, you know, it just makes me sad in a way. You know, to see our leaders and people bowing down to such as that, you know.
Right. Me too. Definitely. I agree. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about and or share with the United States?
Well, like I say, I do love America. I'm a red blooded American, and at my age, if I had to go fight again, if I was able, I would do it all over again.
Thank you so much. That
And and I do love dirt racing. I've been following it for since I was 13 years old, and I can't get enough in my nose of that good smelling fuel, man. I love racing, and I
Amen.
do go dirt racing. Yeah,
Awesome. 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 Very awesome. When people pass away or go away, I believe they die twice. I believe they die when they leave their body and go to heaven, or the second time they die is when people stop talking about them or their service or stuff like that. And
right.
so it's just we honor racing history at Nostalgia Dirt Series to keep racers' memories alive, their cars, their families, their accomplishments. But most important, uh, keeping our veterans' memories alive. Is there any of your buddies that you served with that are no longer with us that you'd like to mention their names?
Yeah, I had a good friend named John William Fritter. We were really close. We took all the training, stuff together. And one night we had a rocket attack on base, and he was a little bit ahead of me. And he took some scrap metal to his neck, got his carotid, and he bled out really quick.
Sure, sure. Well, now his memories coming back to life is keep these people alive by mentioning them and their service. And
Right.
so I can't thank you enough for the sacrifices that you made for our country. And I think you're an amazing individual. And it's an honor for me to be able to talk to you and interview you today. And uh, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of feedback from our viewers, and so I just thank you very much for coming on today.
Yep, you're quite welcome.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This is
Thank
Mark
you.
Holt with Nostalgia Dirt Series, talking to Mr. Ronald Norris today, served in the U.S. Navy, and what an honor to have you on. So thank you very much. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Mark Holt from Nostalgia Dirt Series. And it's my great pleasure today to be interviewing one of our servicemen who has served our country. And I just want to thank you for taking some time out and coming and talking about your service and and just being here today. Thank you. So, can you give us your name and your branch of service?
Timothy Hooks, Army, National Guard.
How did you decide to enlist into the Army?
Oh, everything fascinated me. We had tanks in our area as far as joining the military, and I've been on the M1 Abrams the whole time I've been in the military.
Sure, sure, awesome. And so I talked to another gentleman that you know, Ronald Norris. So what was do you have any what was boot camp like and stuff and what were your feelings? Did you your mother and your father missing your family and being away from people and stuff like that? Can you kind of share with the public about what it's like to leave civilian life to go be a soldier? What was boot camp like for you?
Boot camp was it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was at Fort Knox, Kentucky, um, and it was a lot. It was hard. It was, but I come out of the battlefields, and that's where I worked from when I was 11 or 12. So I was used to hard work, and I was in shape. So it was rough, and I went through boot camp with my identical twin brother. So that helped me as far as missing home. But you do miss friends and family at home
Sure,
terribly.
sure, sure. So yeah, I would imagine sometimes it gets hard to concentrate on being a soldier and stuff and in a new environment. And you know, a lot of people who have not enlisted, they don't really know what you guys go through, you know, from even from the very beginning, being separated from your family. So that's a big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. When you get deployed or when you go on to different areas around the country, you don't know if you're coming back. That's the hardest thing. And you don't know if you're going to see him again and stuff like that. All of that goes through your head.
Right. I'm sure that really works on a person.
It
So
does.
tell us about after boot camp and you know what went on. Tell us a little bit about your life in the service, what it was like.
Uh, like I said, I was on the M1 Abrams battle tank. Um, we done tank tables, live fire exercises, anything to do with the tanks. We would go to Fort Stewart in Georgia, Fort Irwin in California. We were all over with them. We got we were during Desert Storm, Desert Shield. We loaded our tanks up in Savannah on the railhead, and they were shipped over, and we were waiting on them to land for us to go over and join the tanks to fight. But
Sure.
the ground war didn't last no time, so we didn't have to go. We stayed. We were about a week and a half before we were gone, and they called
Wow.
a ceasefire. Yep, our tanks were already over there waiting on us.
Wow.
So that went on. Um, and then the next real main thing was when we got deployed to Afghanistan, and that was a year. When I went over there to start with, for the first 3 months, I was on Sec 4, doing towers, patrol, and stuff like that. Towers, control, ECP, entry control point guards, for the first 3 months. And then the last 9 months, I was on an MTT team, a mobile training team where I trained the Afghans.
Wow. Holy smoke. So for somebody like me who's not been in the service, uh gosh, what's that like, being in a whole nother country and wondering do you wonder when you're walking around what's around the next corner? Do you wonder who's going to jump out and try and take your life? What is that like?
Yes, I was in my last 9 months when I was training Afghans. We were on a small fob, and we lived on one side of it. We had the Afghans on the other side of it, and people were shooting at us about every night. And it was a blackout fog. At night, it was light discipline to zero. It was completely dark at night. You couldn't use lights. You had the blankets over your windows and stuff like that. So we got hit quite a bit. And I tell you what, the first time I was in a TIC, which is troops in contact, when it started, I opened my door and all I saw was tracers and bullets. And you got to go out there in it.
Oh
That's
man.
it, it wakes you up pretty fast.
I suppose
It
definitely.
does. Oh yeah.
So fast forward after your military service, you're out amongst civilians. What's life like after the military? I mean, do you still wonder what's around the next corner? How do you, is it difficult adjusting your mind from being in a war to just walking around your hometown? What's that like, the adjustment?
It's rough at times. I mean, certain noises, certain smells, take you back. Um, you have triggers, and they it, fireworks, fireworks will startle you. Um, it's hard adjusting back because when we were gone, we always had somebody watching our back. And then
Sure.
when you come home, you're by yourself, and
Right.
you don't have that close camaraderie. You're just alone.
Sure.
So I mean, when you go into restaurants, you want to sit in the corner where you can look at everybody and nobody's behind you. You want to do stuff like that, and yeah, you want to be aware of your surroundings, and you also do, like if you hear something outside, you do you check around the yard, do a perimeter check. I mean, it's just it gets rough at times.
So when you enlisted into the service, you truly have given your life. I mean, probably the rest of your life, with dealing with being out of the service and stuff. So really, you never stop being a serviceman. I mean, you and all the other servicemen and women basically have given your whole life to our freedoms.
Yeah,
That's
see,
how I
when
look
I
at it.
come back, I've had 4 hip replacements and spinal surgery because of Afghanistan.
Do you keep up with the people in your company, is it, so that's like a whole nother family, isn't it? Do you talk to your service men and women, brothers and sisters, and keep up with them, or how does that work?
Yes, sir. It's like you trust a veteran more than you do anybody else. And
Sure.
that might sound bad,
No.
but we do. Um, and we do stay in contact because, like you said, we're a family. We stay in contact. That's who I mainly talk to it from on a day-to-day basis and who I hang around.
I watched a seminar today about 9/11, and when our country was under attack and people were putting signs out in their front yard, "We'll never forget," and buying flags and putting them on their cars and all this kind of stuff. But I'd like to know how you feel. But I feel that people have forgotten, you
They,
know, and how does that make you as a serviceman feel? You know, if you're sitting in a restaurant and somebody's talking about how crappy this country is, and the politics, and Republicans and Democrats and fuel prices and stuff, how does that, and I just want to inform others, how does that, as a serviceman, how does that make you feel?
well, it, to be honest with you, people in the United States are spoiled. Um, they've got it made. When you go to a third world country like Afghanistan and see how they live, people over here have nothing to worry about. They don't even have any problems. I mean, you got people over there living in tents, and people over here complaining about stuff that don't matter, like Republicans and Democrats, and well, that kind of does matter, but it's just. And as far as people forgetting, we have a good bit of people that do thank us for our service, but as far as people forgetting, my sympathy, well, I hate to say sympathy, but the Vietnam veterans, how they come home and how they were treated is what we think about. That was wrong
Right.
because we got a warm welcome. We got police escorts and everything else when we come home, and they come home to nothing. Dude, they got spit on.
And they sacrificed all for our freedoms as well.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. um One another thing I guess I wanted to talk to you about is, want to know if you agree with this statement, and I guess it's kind of going to be my guiding light. But a couple of things we do at Nostalgia Dirt Series is we honor racing history, and obviously by doing this interview, we honor our servicemen and women. And I believe that people die twice. They die once when they leave their body and go to heaven, and they die a second time and a last time when nobody speaks their name anymore. And so it's very important to me, uh, to honor these men and women and never let them die. Is there anybody, servicemen, friends, service women that have passed away during combat that you'd like to keep their memory alive and talk to our and mention our viewers and keep them alive?
Yes, Edward Philpott. He was from Atlanta, South Carolina. He was KIA while we were over there, and also Staff Sergeant Bullard. He was also KIA while we were over there. We lost two guys in our unit.
Well, they gave the ultimate sacrifice for our company. So to my viewers watching, um, when you go to fuel up your car, or when you go to give somebody your opinion, or when you go to the grocery store, whatever, uh, just remember, people like Timothy Hooks here, who served in the Army, and the two people that he just mentioned. You remember that they've dedicated their whole lives. They gave their life for this great country of ours, and what a great country it is. And I just
Yes, sir.
wanna I just wanna tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for serving our country, for all you do. It's an honor and a great privilege to be able to interview you today, and I'm going to continue to honor servicemen and women. The Nostalgia Dirt series, we're going to continue to never ever let these people die, and we're going to keep mentioning their names and keep reminding people about the sacrifices great people like you have done for our country. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
You
And
bet.
thank you for what you're doing.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be able to talk about what you and your brothers and sisters have done and are doing for this country. So, do you have anything to add that you want to talk about that I didn't ask? Or
No, I want to say something about the Vietnam veterans because of what they went through. No, that's about it.
awesome. Well, again, thank you for coming on Nostalgia Dirt series today. And people that are watching these interviews, if you like what we're doing, please hit the like and subscribe and share button. Please leave us some feedback today about Mr. Timothy Hooks and Mr. Ronald Norris. And please leave us some feedback about, about how you feel about them, about their interview. We'd love to interact with you. So this is Mark Holt with Nostalgia Dirt series, signing off.